be quite a blessing.
So whenever you start, let me just do this.
We're gonna start right now if you're ready.
Let me make it bigger. You can go ahead and start talking.
All right, good morning to everyone. It's 9 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get started with our spring federal programs meeting. I want to thank you all for joining us today. A lot of information and a lot of involvement and a lot of things that are going to impact children is what we're going to be the topic of our conversation today. First, I want to remind you of some virtual meeting tips. Please try to keep your mics muted when somebody's presenting. There will be an opportunity at the end of everyone's presentation and each individual presentation for you to ask any questions. So at that time, you can unmute your mic, ask the questions, and we'll try to get you an answer. If we're not able to provide you an answer today, we will find the information that you're requesting and we'll send an email to everyone so that everyone can be shared in the information. So we'll go ahead and get started, and our first thing on the agenda is to get our superintendent to bring greetings from her office. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Ms. Kathy Hill.
Good morning. First of all, I just want to thank you all for being a part of this process. In Anderson School District 3, as you know, we try to make sure that every dollar, dime, penny spent goes to the classroom to make our classrooms as successful as possible. And the federal programs funds that we get are a big part of that. And so I appreciate you taking the time to see how we're spending the money, but also to give us input on spending the money, because at the end of the day, it's what we do for students. I also want to thank Dr. Nixon and our principals and everyone who so diligently takes care of these programs to make sure we're staying in the guidelines and to make sure we're spending the money as we say we're spending the money. So thank you for your time today. I appreciate you, and I will let us keep moving.
All right, thank you, Ms. Hill. We appreciate your support for federal programs. And a lot of the things that we do, the final approval that goes through the district level, Ms. Hill has to sign off on everything. So her support is instrumental in us making sure that the grassroots design for all federal programs is implemented in Anderson School District 3. So thank you for your support. So next slide, please. We'll start with our largest program, which is Title I, and the intent of Title I is to provide school districts of poverty with additional funds so that students can be exposed to the same educational opportunities that potentially students in more affluent areas are afforded. And all of that is drilled down into performance. And I'm going to go ahead and start off by saying we're very, very proud of our district. Not long ago, we were number 47th in the state rankings as far as student performance. Now we're number 5. So being 5th in the state of South Carolina for performance is a testament to how we're utilizing federal funds to make sure that we're closing those achievement gaps, which traditionally students of poverty do not do as well as students that are in more affluent areas. So first of all, I wanted to start off with that brag that we're very, very proud of that. And again, I truly feel like it's a testament to the grassroots identity that's going on within our schools of using these federal funds. But in the face of all the success that we've seen, we have had some hurdles to overcome. And one of those hurdles is dwindling Title I funds in the last few years. You can see from 2019 to 2023, we've had a decrease of $167,087 in federal funding. Now, the first question that comes to mind from everyone, well, how have you taken care of that? We've gotten very, very creative in how we've spent funds, and also our district has taken the stance that we're going to try to maintain the amount of funds that go into the schools as much as possible. So we've taken some things out of funding that come at the district level to try to maintain those funds and keep those funds stable at each one of the school levels. Next slide, please. So the breakdown of our 22-23 expenditures, you can see that the lion's share of the money goes towards salaries and benefits. If you look at Title I alone, there's 9.51 FTEs that are paid for out of Title I funding. So again, we believe that people can make the biggest impact. You can take programs, you can take technology, you can take anything else that you want to provide to students, but low class to teacher ratios, low student to teacher ratios, and support people to provide the support that teachers need is actually going to have more benefit than any other place that we can spend the money. So you can see there a breakdown: assistant principal of instruction, administrative assistant. That's at the district level to help provide support for all of the money that comes through. There's tremendous amounts of oversight and tremendous amounts of federal and state regulations that come with these monies and things that we have to adhere to. So that position is crucial to make sure that we're following the right financial steps to make sure that that money is being spent according to federal guidelines. Teachers for classroom reduction, and then a parent liaison, which you're going to hear from in a little bit. Supplies and materials. 2023, you can see an expenditure of $139,054, which is down around $10,000 from the previous year. Some of this will be more detailed whenever we get into the schools presentations and they talk about how they're actually spending the money that's allocated at the school level. And then finally, purchase services, which can include professional development, travel for teachers, administrators, computer program licenses that are used in grades K4 through 5th grade. That has remained relatively the same. We've seen tremendous impacts and we've seen good productivity from the programs that we've been using. So continuing to use the programs that have shown us success is exactly where we're at. And you can see that that money has been fairly maintained from year to year. Then finally is our indirect costs. The state and the federal government allow you to take up to a certain percentage of your total allocation as an indirect cost fee, which those fees go towards copies that are made, electricity inside the buildings, infrastructure, things like that. So we have never taken the maximum of what we can take out for indirect costs, but our indirect cost for this year is $27,594.65. So I would like to break these two pots of money down just a little bit further before we go into the next portion of our parent involvement for Title I. Whenever we receive the money, you saw the lump sum that we receive on the prior slide. And that money is divided into two categories or two buckets. One is district set aside, and district set aside covers our administrative assistant position that I discussed earlier, our parent involvement coordinator, which is paid at a 0.25, a quarter of an FTE for that position. And then finally, it funds two additional programs, which is our McKinney-Vento program, which is our homeless program. And homeless, by the federal definition, is any student that does not have a permanent nighttime residence. So when you hear the word homeless, I know immediately you think of people living in tents or under underpasses, but the federal definition is a little bit more robust than that, because there are specific indicators for a child that spends the night on one, they call it couch surfing. They'll spend the night with one family one night and then bounce to another family the other night, or potentially a child that has been turned out by their parents at a certain age. And all of those children face academic, social, and mental health concerns. And Title I serves all K4 through 12th grade students, and actually beyond 12th grade in certain situations, to provide them resources that they need to keep up with other students that don't have the same hurdles to overcome. So approximately 80 students are categorized as McKinney-Vento or homeless in our district, and Title I is the funding source that serves those students. And then finally, foster care programs. Any student that's placed in foster care within the attendance area of our district, Title I, if they need specific resources, and all of that's outlined in the foster care process. Title I is the funding source that's used to provide those students those benefits. So again, district set aside accounts for $96,932, which is right at 10% of the total allocation, which is much less than a lot of districts across the state of South Carolina. We're well into that threshold for what is considered acceptable. And again, our mindset, our intent is to provide as many dollars to the school allocation so that the schools can have the money go straight to the classrooms to serve the students in those classrooms. Which brings us to our school allocation. That leaves about $847,000 left that go out to the schools. And there is a mathematical design behind how those school dollars are allocated. What we do is we take the total pupil in poverty number. So all the students that are categorized under the poverty level in each one of our elementary schools, middle, and our high school, we do a calculation. Now, it just so happens that the highest poverty schools in our district are our elementary schools. So we choose to serve all three of the elementary schools with Title I funding. So the percentage of students in each one of those schools that fall under the poverty level are multiplied by the total population in those schools. Then we just divide that number into the total allocation that's left for school allocations, and each school receives their share of money based on how many students of poverty they have within that school. We can deviate from that metric to a certain degree. We can change the dollar figure that's allocated to each school, but in the interest of fairness, we choose to divide that money equally based on the number of students of poverty within that school. So that's how the metrics are used to divide that money. I just wanted to make sure that I said that up front, that we keep a minimum amount for district set aside. The majority of the money is divided in the schools, and that's the metrics we use to divide that money. So that will conclude basically the district level expenditure report. Is there any questions based on district set aside or allocation of funds to the school, McKinney-Vento or foster care? Does anyone have any questions at this time? All right, thank you. Well, hearing none, we'll proceed to the next portion of our presentation, which is parent involvement. And we're blessed to have a very talented, very new parent involvement coordinator in Ashley Hatcher, who is doing a phenomenal job. Our prior parent involvement coordinator laid a wonderful foundation for Ashley to pick up the reins and start with, but I can honestly say in this year, we've seen her make this program her own, expand this program and extend this program to other areas. And before she gets started, I would just like to preface by saying the importance of parent involvement. And I always refer back to this one study that I've always been amazed with, and I can always refer to. It was a study that was done by Wilder a few years ago. And the title of it, if anybody would like to look it up, be glad to share the journal article. It was Effects of Parent Involvement on Academic Achievement. And basically what this was a meta-synthesis where they took empirical data, they took tons of peer-reviewed journal articles, and they distilled that down into what makes for good parent involvement. And the takeaways from all of that research that's done is parent involvement. A lot of parents interpret that as I'm going to help with homework, which if you look at all the data that's out there, that is the least impactful way to consider parent involvement. The study also alluded to the fact that if parent involvement is not cultivated in early childhood and elementary levels, it is very seldom going to be picked up once a child gets older. If anything, it goes the opposite direction, that as the child gets older, the parents become less and less involved. So understanding that parent involvement is not homework help, that it is actually being immersed in the child's education and being brought into the school for programs that are not single programs where it's chalk and talk and you sit parents down and you tell them what they need to do as parents. It's where they're engaged with hands-on activities with their children so they can understand what their children are doing, and then also understand how they can better help them at home instead of helping them problem to problem on a homework assignment. And I don't know that Ms. Hatcher has ever read this article, but honestly, she's taking everything that's been distilled in that article and she's putting feet to it and she's putting hands to it and making sure that it's being implemented within our schools. Very, very proud of this program. Very, very proud of the work that she's doing. Can't brag on her enough. And I'm not going to brag on her anymore. I'm going to let her tell you about the amazing things she's doing in her presentation. So at this time, introduce Ashley Hatcher.
Good morning. I'm excited to share the wonderful things that's taking place in Anderson 3 this year and what's to come. Next slide, we'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was our parent involvement policy and our parent school compact. I have these two documents linked on the presentation. These documents really set the stage for what we consider great support between the school and the home and Anderson 3, and how we can really build those strong relationships even before the child starts school. And so these are expectations from the school level as well as at home and our community, and how we can all work together to ensure that our students are receiving the best education possible. And so I encourage you, please look over these documents, and it is a living document, so we are open and we would like to hear your feedback and suggestion, so how we can make these better. So if you will look over these, please email David Nixon with any suggestions and feedback that you may have. The next thing is how different ways that I communicate with our families. And so we have a variety of families. Some still they like the information provided through paper and Friday folders. So I use the Friday folder a lot to share brochures and newsletters with different resources that we have. Also share the research of that early literacy and how important it is for students to really learn the love of reading at home in the laps of their parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters. That's where it begins. And so sharing different resources with our families, I do that through Friday folders. I also use our program Thrill Share, which is a great program that we can use to send text messages, phone calls, emails, and also post the same information on our website or through emails as well. And so I feel like through all of these different ways, we are able to meet our families' needs, whatever they may be, because we are communicating on different platforms, digitally as well as paper. And so some of the things I shared this year, Palmetto Basics, the SC First 5, Ames and United Way, the different events that they have and workshops that they provide for our families. And then also Triple P, which is our behavior program that is offered in Anderson 3. It is a management program that helps students regulate their emotions and how we can help them at school and at home. So that is something I share with our families that's offered as well. And so those are just different ways that I communicate information to our families. Next, I attend parent conferences, IEP meetings. It could be meetings with our teachers and staff, as well as our K-4 teachers. I've worked a lot with them this year with the writing and reading. And so we've had a lot of professional development throughout the year to really build that early literacy skills and communicating those things with our families as well. And so I'll share a little bit more about how we are going to wrap up the year with all of the things that we've learned through these professional developments. I also have complete home visits where I visit with families, provide transportation, whether it may be to their child's doctor's appointment or eye appointment, different things like that, so that our students make sure that they're getting what they need and the families are getting the support that they need. Next, our community events. This second semester, I worked really hard to partner with the schools and to join the different events that they already have taken place. For example, with Stream Night, this could look different at each event. I may have a parent workshop, like in the picture above, you see a student and his parent, they are painting a snowman, it looks like. And so we had a read aloud, and I shared different tips that they can do at home with their child that doesn't cost any money. It's just simple conversation about books and how those different things, the impact that it does make with their children. And so then they were able to complete a fun activity together. But this was actually at the holiday workshop at IVA. So really partnering with the schools and the events that's already taken place and offering that support to our family. The next one, also another event was pancakes and problem solving. I know we talk a lot about early literacy and the importance of that, but this was a great event that I worked with the math coach at IVA, Ms. Snyder, that did a wonderful job providing parents with the importance of how literacy and mathematics, how they really are intertwined and go together. And so we partnered together, and it was just a great event where students were, again, able to connect a book with a fun activity as well as enjoy pancakes. And so it's just a great time with our families and a great time out there. Next, a couple of things that we have left for the school year that I'm excited about is we are going to be doing a kickoff to kindergarten at all 3 elementary schools, where we invite our K-4 families, but also our new families in that will have a kindergartner starting in the fall, so that we can really go ahead and begin either building that relationship or strengthening that relationship with our families that we've had this year. So that will give us an opportunity for our families to meet the kindergarten teachers, to share expectations of kindergarten, and to welcome them to Anderson 3. So we're really excited about planning this event and getting that started. And the last thing that we have going on this year to kind of wrap things up will be our field trip to Anderson Library. So all of our K-4 students will take a trip to the Anderson Library, and they will actually receive their own library card. And so we're really encouraging that summer reading and all of the fun activities that take place that are free and easily available at the Anderson Library. So that will be going on in the next couple of weeks, and we're excited to take that trip and to get that journey started. Next slide. Okay, so a few programs that we have in Anderson 3 that have really helped encourage that reading at home that I cannot talk enough about would be Raising a Reader. We have this program in all 3 elementary schools in our K-4 programs. And so what this looks like is our students are able to take home 4 new books a week. And they, again, encouraging that lap reading, the conversation of books, so that students really develop that love of reading at such an early age. And so the students, as you can see in our pictures, they are excited. They love getting their new books, and they take their read bag home each week, and they're excited to share the new books. And our families, we've had a lot of positive feedback from this program. This year, we did extend it to the Head Start program at Star Elementary, and the plan is to carry that over to our Head Start program at Flat Rock Elementary next year. And so again, just really promoting the love of literacy at an early age. So I cannot speak highly enough about this program and the positive support that we've had from the families as well. We also have our community libraries and learning trails throughout the community. These can be found at the walking tracks at each school. And so again, just maintaining those, making sure that they have new fresh books for our community members and our students to switch in and out that are easily available and free. And then we also have, in the process of getting our summer learning kits ready for our students. This is something new our students will have. This year I have 16 Raising a Reader families that I've worked closely with. Those students will all receive summer learning kits. And in this kit, they will receive books. They'll also receive some math manipulatives, magnetic letters, markers, notebooks, and also a workbook on how to get your child ready for kindergarten. And so these families will all receive that. And then all of our K-4 students are going to receive a learning kit that has fun activities. I've worked with our K-4 teachers to share what would your students love to have for the summer that they may not have at home. And so we're planning on putting whiteboards and markers, crayons, pencils, notepads, things that really seem very simple, but their students love and get excited about in the classroom. Those are things that we're going to include in their basket. And the goal behind this is this basket will be called their personal library. And so each student will hopefully build that library up so that they have their own books with their interests that they'll go to at home. Next slide. So the proposed budget for next year and what is to continue to develop with our parents and community and distribute the parent involvement policy and parent school compact. And so again, please take time to look over those documents and provide us with any feedback and suggestions so we can make those 2 documents better. Next is extended Raising a Reader in our Head Start program at Flat Rock Elementary. Maintaining this program in all 3 elementary schools and at the Head Start program at Star. And then continuing to update our community libraries and learning trails. Providing all students at K-4 with their own personal library box. So my plan for next year would be to do this at the beginning of the year. And each month students will receive a new book to add to their box throughout the year. Next, the summer reading kits and writing kits for all K-4 students, so continuing that so that we encourage that reading and writing over the summer. And then resources, continuing to provide resources, brochures, magnets, different things that really share with parents. Again, just getting the word out of the different resources that we have and information of how to contact if they need help and support, ways that they can contact different people throughout our community. And again, providing those activities at our parent workshops and school events like Stream Night, Literacy Night, continuing to just build those programs and those events so that our families enjoy that time, but also carry that time over into the home to see that these are not things that have additional costs, but it really is spending that time with your child in a fun way. And then the last thing is continuing to share books throughout our community events. I always share with people, if you want to share something and get the word out to attend the Halloween on Main event, I feel like that event has the majority of our community members there and more. It's just a great event to see so many people there and a great way to share information and provide them with resources that our families may need in Anderson 3. And so I'm excited about what has taken place this year and what is to come. And so does anybody have any questions about parent involvement?
Thank you, Ms. Hatcher. You see the amazing things that are going on, and again, you get a family of poverty kickstarted with a great experience coming into 4K or 5K, which I'm so excited to hear about our kindergarten opportunities that are at the end of this year. It just sets the stage for a student to be successful in that welcoming environment that those parents need to feel to be a part of their child's education. So thank you for fostering that and cultivating that in our community, because word gets out. And they got a good thing going. It will get more parents involved in 4K. The best thing we can have is word of mouth from parents talking about how impactful our 4K programs are. Now, this is one of my favorite parts of the federal programs meeting, where we take and hear how the dollars are being spent in each one of our elementary schools. So at this time, we'll get kick started with Ive Elementary, Principal Austin Powell.
Hey y'all, I'm Mr. Powell, the principal here at Ive. At the end of every school year, we always have a survey that goes out to all of our staff members or our teachers, and then our parents as well. And so everything that we use Title I funds for comes straight from that information, the feedback we get from parents of our students and our teachers here. So everything you'll hear about will come directly from that. So we'll start off with our salaries and benefits. We'll go to that next slide. There we go. So salaries and benefits, we currently fund 1 first grade teacher, 1 fifth grade teacher, and then the majority of our assistant principal of curriculum instruction. I believe right now in 5th grade, we're a little less than about 18 students per classroom. And then in 1st grade, we're a little less than 14 students per classroom. So definitely seeing the importance of smaller class sizes in both of those grade levels. So that's something we'll continue to do in the future. Also, one of our big purchase items or line items was for instructional materials. That came directly from the feedback we got from staff members. And so we try to keep up with school supplies all school year, helping our teachers with stuff like that. Another big purchase we made this year was to provide our kindergarten and 2nd grade teachers with literacy footprints. And that's just something to help them more with guided reading. We purchased last year that program for 1st grade. So now we have that in kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. And the teachers utilize that and love it. And then lastly, from our instructional materials, we purchased the Math Olympiad kits. Our math specialist here, Ashley Snyder, uses that to target the top. I know a lot of times we're used to trying to target those bubble students that are kind of above, right above or right below a line as far as testing is concerned. But she uses Math Olympiads to target the top. She started that last year. We've seen some great growth. And if you look in that picture in the top right corner, you'll see that huge group of students. Those are our 4th and 5th grade Math Olympiads. And if I'm correct in saying this, I got Ashley Snyder here, I'm pretty sure we are double what we had, or close to double what we had last year. So we actually had to buy 2 kits this year because we had that many participants that gained their way into that program. That would be the other part I forgot to add, is that's not just something anyone gets to participate in. You have to earn your way in. And again, those are some of our Math Olympiads, our mathletes, as we like to call them. Also, we always purchase all of our back to school materials, agendas, Friday folders. And then we try to fund as much as we can for teachers in school, our school library and our classroom libraries. Also, this was the first year we participated in Battle of the Books. Ms. Fortner worked closely with Ms. Gray at Flat Rock to help us kick that off this year. So we made sure we had plenty of those books for Battle of the Books for students to read. That picture in the bottom right corner, that was one of our, I think, our top 4 teams in Battle of the Books this year. You can go to that next slide. Another big purchase line here is our subscriptions. Starting off, we have started this last year for Progress Learning. I think it was USA Test Prep last year. They changed that to Progress Learning this year for 4th grade science and social studies. We see huge benefits. Our 4th grade science teacher, Ms. Thomas, loves having that as a supplementary material for her classroom. I think it speaks volumes that if I'm looking here correctly, I think she had a little over 84% of the students last year that took fourth grade science at the end of the school year were meets or exceeds. So she uses that, and we obviously see great results from that. That being said, our third grade teachers came to me this year and asked to have a little bit of extra support with science and social studies as well, because they kind of saw the benefits of trying to have our students a little more prepared when they go to fourth grade. And so they asked to have IXL added for science and social studies. So we did. And then you can see, I won't read all those, but you see all the computer programs that we have purchased this year. I will say a lot of those, you'll see a lot of on most of our slides here from the principals. And I'll mention, I think GimKit and Bookit, those game-based computer programs that get used a whole lot in our upper grade levels. So those are some favorites. And then lastly on this slide, Scholastic, that kind of puts some hard copies of some newspaper type materials in students' hands in kindergarten, second grade, and fifth grade. You can go to that next one. We also fund our STREAM supplies and materials. One of the big days we have is for National STEM Day. Ms. Stone does a great job of planning that for us. This year, we had all kinds of stuff going on. We had Jessica Simpson here through Clemson Extension and 4-H. We had a group called the Wildlife Geeks, which I think was probably the star of the show. They brought all kinds of animals. They had so many animals that they actually had different ones for each class that came to them. So not every class, saw the same animals, which was incredible. So we'll make sure we get them back next year. Ms. Stone's husband brought some construction equipment. We had a front end loader and a excavator out there. The students actually got to work on some of those things. So again, big purchase items there for us for National STEM Day. Also, we started this last year. One of my third grade teachers, Ashley Simpson, started a group called Techie Tigers that meets once a week after school. And so what they do, basically just take all the fun stuff that we want to do with technology during the day, but we're told we have to make sure we're staying on task and doing what we're supposed to in the classroom. She does all that after school. So all the fun things that kids want to do during the day, she gets to do that with them. So if you look in the bottom right corner, that's one of our students. They did a virtual egg hunt, which was incredible. So a lot of things there we provide for them. Anything she asked for, I try to make sure we can get it for those students because they absolutely love that. As far as technology goes, we're now 1-to-1 with Chromebooks in kindergarten. We did purchase an extra Promethean board this year. We try to make sure we keep teachers and students loaded up with headphones. We have purchased some new document cameras and some charging stations for those new Chromebooks in kindergarten. And then the last bullet here, our parent involvement opportunities. Fall Literacy Night this year. It's always planned by our reading coach, Ms. Harbert. And this year we did a trunk or treat book swap. So students brought in books and they would trade in. They came through the trunk or treat line and then got to go back and pick out another book. So that was a big event for us. We have hosted some new parent involvement opportunities this year that we titled Lunch and Learn. Those came directly from my assistant principal, Meredith Danzler. She's hosted 2 of those. One of them was based on the MTSS system. So kind of bringing parents in and explaining that system to them and kind of where students fall on the different tiers. And then she has done one recently where she explained the importance of the school-home relationship and how parents can support students at home with homework and just some extra practices they can do there. The reason we did that, and I'll speak a little bit more about this in a second, but one of the things feedback we got from our parents was the times we had parent involvement opportunities. I will say that was one of the things that a lot of our parents mentioned to us is we have everything, normally afternoon around 5:30 or so, and some folks can't make that. So we made a great effort this year to have things in the morning and at lunchtime so that we could get, target all the different times throughout the day to have parents in our building. This afternoon, you've got my Stream Night shirt on. We do have Stream Night. So if anybody's bored this afternoon around 5:30, we're having a glow-themed Stream Night. So if y'all want to come on out, this is one of our biggest events of the year. We had a huge turnout last year. We're expecting a huge turnout tonight. Lots of different things going on with that. So we make sure, use Title I funds for that as well. And then the last parent involvement opportunity, a few weeks back, we had pancakes and problem solving. That was also hosted by our math specialist, Miss Snyder, with the help of Miss Hatcher as well. And we had a great turnout for that. We tried to do something more math based. A lot of times when we bring parents in for workshops, it's more literacy based. And so they had the idea of putting a math type novel or book in students' hands with parents, and they worked through some problem solving activities and then got to have some breakfast as well. So big turnout there. And you could see pictures there from all those events. The literacy night, students were dressed up, and then the pancakes and problem solving as well. And then you'll see some pictures on these next couple of slides just of some STEM projects. That middle picture was one of the animals the Wildlife Geeks brought. And then on the right there, it was one of the families that came from pancakes and problem solving. You probably recognize that guy, with. We have, again, some more pictures from STEM Day. There's Dr. Dixon there with some form of a giant snake, it looks like. In the middle picture there, you see our kindergarten students putting those Chromebooks to work in Miss Murdoch's classroom. And then on the right, some more pictures, another picture from pancakes and problem solving. And then last set of pictures here, students during STEM Day on the front end loader, excavator, and then from literacy night, and again from pancakes and problem solving. Next year, obviously, some of the things we'll fund, again, go into salaries and benefits for our assistant principal and funding 2 teachers. We'll continue to focus on instructional materials, providing supplies as much as we can for our students, math Olympiads, things like that. At this point, since we are one-to-one right now, the big idea there for technology will be just making sure we stay up to date with our Chromebooks, making sure those, stay up, like I said, up to date, and keeping things like chargers, stuff like that in students' hands and in our classrooms. And then again, continuing with stream supplies, we'll try to focus on school and classroom libraries. And then obviously our big ticket item is our parent involvement, or are our parent involvement opportunities. Does anybody have any questions about the Title I budget at Ava Elementary School? All right. Thank y'all.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Melissa Davis, principal of Star Elementary School. In regards to our Title I budget, our budget was about $301,890, right around there. We used a big portion of this went to our personnel. So our next slide. We funded our assistant principal of instruction, and she's there on the right, Miss Ariel Davis. We also funded a first grade teacher, Miss Brewster. That's the picture on the left. It made her class size go down to about 14 students. And then we also funded a second grade teacher, Miss Caldwell. She's a first year teacher in second grade, and her class size is about 13 this year. We do feel like new class size and those lower grades are very important, and that's why we like to keep them as low as possible. So we added those 2 extra first and second grade teachers this year. Another big portion of our Title I money goes to instructional materials. Of course, we do classroom manipulatives in the classroom, needs that they may have. We have purchased like magnetic tiles, flashcards, wooden block letters, anything that the teachers feel like they need in their classrooms to help reach the students. Those are things that we purchase. We've done magnifying glasses, whisper phones. We also do like learning centers, which is when teachers are meeting with their reading groups. They have these interactive learning centers for students, and they break them down into groups. And you can see some of the pictures down at the left bottom. That's a group of students doing one of those learning centers. So it's interactive, hands-on, small group, while the teacher is actually working with the reading group. We also do a lot of consumable supplies like construction paper, cardstock, things like that that teachers are constantly using with their students. We provide our Scholastic News and Social Studies Weekly, along with our Reading Horizons. Another big chunk of money goes to technology. We are one-to-one with our Chromebooks. We have purchased a few just to have extra in case some break. We have purchased interactive panels and document cameras, headphones, charger cords. As you can see in the pictures, we have students that are doing reading eggs on their lap desk, and the lap desks are actually were purchased with Title I funds. We also have our fifth graders. They're presenting their presentations on one of the interactive panels on the left bottom. We have Miss Shawn Craft, who works in our technology department. She's working with our first graders, and she's working with Book Creator down there. And they're actually out in the hallway. She pulled a small group out, and they're working with the Book Creator that we purchased with Title I money. And then on the right, you see one of our teachers, Miss Whitehart, over there as she is using her interactive panel in her lesson. We also purchased a lot of instructional programs to go along with our technology. IXL, Progress Learning. We use Reading Eggs and Math Seeds in our K4 program. You can see all the different ones that are listed there. One of our newer ones that we've added is the UFLI, which is the University of Florida Literacy Institute Intervention. And to the left, you can see my reading coach, Miss Ivester, and then down below, Miss McClellan. Both of them are using this as they're doing intervention groups. And they each have intervention groups every day. And that changes throughout the year. We look at our data, and then we decide who needs to come in or go out of intervention groups. And it may be that you switch to another intervention group, but that's kind of the program that they're using there. Also, you see Mr. White there in kindergarten as he's using Heggerty. And then one of our students there, K4 students on our Reading Eggs program. Another big portion is our stream, and we have a stream night that we invite our parents and families to come into. But some of the things that we purchase with that money are our stream classroom kits, 3D printer filament, magnetic tiles, blocks, clays, Legos, consumables. We have lots of consumables that we purchase for stream. That kind of goes along with our stream night when we have interaction with our parents, bringing them in. As you can see, the little buckets there, the kids are using them as drums. That's Mr. Dukes' class, our music teacher, who's also our teacher of the year. He's doing a lesson using the drums with our K5 students there. You see first graders in the middle picture, and that is a stream lesson, and then they're using geometrical tiles, and that's actually in a first grade classroom there. And then our right-hand corner is our STARS VEX robotics team, and that's right before they go to a competition. And then also they're making snow in our stream class there in the bottom picture as one of the activities and lessons that they did. We also have a lot of parent involvement here. Our K4 and K5 invited parents to come in, and our K5, they made gingerbread houses around Christmas time, and parents came in and helped the kids decorate. We did that in our cafeteria. We had our K4 parents come in. We invited them in to decorate Christmas cookies in our cafeteria. Our first grade had a pumpkin day, and on this pumpkin day, they actually had an on school field trip. And they had a lot of different vendors to come in and set up. We had a community in the church that came and brought activities for them to do. We had Peeler's Farm came. We had Crescent Ag that came. And the kids just rotated from one station to another. And then we had different parents that were there as well. We also are doing guest readers in 1st and 2nd grade. And that's where we're inviting parents or someone that the teacher might like to invite. And they come in and they read books to our students. And the kids are really excited to see who the guest reader is for each day. 2nd grade went on a zoo trip. Actually, they went yesterday and it was very rainy and they got wet, but they had a great time on their zoo trip. Our 3rd grade did a wax museum. The students had to do research on someone that they chose, and then they dressed up as them and then they presented that. We had them all lined up in the gym and we invited parents in, and they came in and they would press, each child had a little button and they would press the button and the child would start talking just like a real wax museum, and the kids had a ball with it, and we had a lot of participation with our parents. They also participated in Farm Day at Crescent High School. Our 4th grade had an idiom parade. It was really exciting. They marched up and down and they all dressed up as their idiom. It was really funny, and we had a lot of parents to come and watch the parade as well. Our 5th grade participated in the jet toy competition, and the top 3 then went on to the district competition, and we actually hosted that here at Star. They really enjoy making those little cars out of paper and tape and watching them race. That's something really fun for our 5th grade. They also did World War II projects where they picked a person from World War II and they researched it, and then they had to do some type of project on it, whether it was to take and dress up a head. We had people dressing up a head like Hitler. We had them creating different weapons that were used in World War II. We had just a lot of different things. We displayed those, and then parents were able to come in and look at all the displays that we had. And they are currently beginning to work on their egg drop projects, which will take place next week. And that's where they design a protective cover for their egg. And then I will get on the roof and we will drop all the eggs off the roof to see who survives. We also had grandparents' lunch and a trunk or treat. On the right-hand side picture, you can see that's a trunk or treat. That's where we invite businesses and parents, and they decorate a spot in the gym. They gave out candy for our trunk or treat. We also participated in the Star Fall Festival and Tiger Trot. In the upper right hand, you can see those are some teachers and students that ran in the Tiger Trot. This year, Star won the Golden Shoe, which is based on our sign up and our participation. And we always have a little competition between elementary schools. This is the first time we've won it in quite a while. Usually Ava always wins it. Then we also have had our chorus has performed several times. In the middle picture, you can see them performing at the AU basketball game. And that's where they did the national anthem there. We also had one of our students performing at that same game at the halftime show. We had Eliza K. Long performing her baton routine there. We also are having our choruses performing at the soiree this Saturday. And later on, they're going to Carowinds to perform as well. And then our other two pictures there are when we had grandparents came for breakfast. So we had that. We've also had like the fire department to come in, our rescue squad visit. So those are some of the different activities that we have to involve parents and our community in our school. And we just enjoy having each family member and community member come in and share with us here at school. Next are things for our proposed budget. just like Mr. Powell said, we send surveys out, and that's we use those surveys from parents, from teachers to see what needs are in the classrooms, and things that the teachers might need. And that's kind of how we propose what our budget is going to be each year. I don't have a lot of specifics down here because we haven't sent out our survey to our teachers yet. We are doing that with our parents, but we haven't gotten ours back from our teachers. But some of the different areas that, again, will be our salaries and benefits. We'll provide another first and second grade teacher. We'll also provide instructional materials and consumables, our technology and our programs again. We'll ask teachers which programs they feel work the best. And if there's a new one out there, then we'll investigate it and do a lot of research and then add that into our proposal. Also, technology, we're already one-to-one with our computers as far as our Chromebooks go, but we are trying to replace some older Dell interactive boards. So that is something that we will put in our budget this year, will be to replace some of our older interactive boards with the new panels that we have now. Of course, we'll have lots of stream supplies in there. This will help with our VEX robotics and our regular robotics teams. It'll help with the stream classroom, providing supplies for it, and then for our stream night that we always have. We also, in there will be library and classroom books. Like Austin said, we also do Battle of the Books, and we will purchase that with that money. We also will do lots of parent and community involvement opportunities. And then this coming year, I think our teachers have been very interested in doing a book study for the whole school. So that is something that we're going to purchase. We will purchase a book for every student to have and take home with them, and we'll read it throughout the year. And then each day or each week, morning announcements, we'll have like a little trivia question about the book, and teachers will kind of talk about it just to involve a little more literacy each day. Does anyone have any questions or anything? Well, thank you so much for listening.
Got it. Good morning, everybody. I'm Christy Dodd, the principal at Flat Rock Elementary School. This morning in my office, I'm joined by Andrea Lawless, our guidance counselor, Carly Heron, our reading coach. I'm also joined by Candace Roberts, our assistant principal, and Heather Smith, who is our MLL teacher for the district. She happened to be at my school this morning. I'd like to begin my presentation by telling you about the personnel that we fund through Title I funds. If you could go to the next slide, please. Thank you. This year, we have a fully funded assistant principal of instruction as well as 2 primary teachers. The reason that we put those 2 extra teachers in primary grades is to make those classes smaller, and we have been able to do that and get those classes down to 13, 14 students in each classroom. We've also been able to purchase programming this year with the funds, if that's on the next slide. In addition to IXL and Progress Learning that we were already using, we also use Reading Eggs with our primary grades, Rooted in Reading. Heggerty is a program that we use to supplement Reading Horizons. We use both Daily Reading and Writing Ready. We continue to use Accelerated Reader to encourage reading. We've also included Secret Stories this year, NWEA Test Prep, and the UFly Intervention Program. This year, some of the highlights of instructional materials that we've purchased, we have added to our classroom libraries. Every year, we commit to adding to our school library to keep that school collection age as new as possible. We've continued to purchase STEM materials, math manipulatives. We continue to participate in Battle of the Books and fully fund that, as well as Lemonade Wars for our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. In addition, we also spend a good bit of money on consumable materials for our students, ranging anything from pencils, paper, cardstock, construction paper, glue sticks, workbooks, anything that our teachers need. We ask what they want, and we try to support our teachers the best we can with those purchases. Technology, we are 1-to-1 K-5 through 5th grade. By next year, we will have all touch screens in the building. We're pretty excited about that. We've continued to purchase Chromebooks as needed. In addition, we're purchasing new document cameras for our teachers to use, as well as replacing any interactive panels that have needed replacing this year. We've been able to purchase podcasting equipment that we are able to use in our building, as well as extra charger cords and other accessories that we need from time to time. We're very, very proud of the community involvement that Flat Rock has in our A3 community. This is an exhaustive list, but I'd like to highlight just a few of those. Our parent involvement nights were very well attended. We did a stream night where this year we chose to focus on math and had a Valentine math bingo night with our families. I think a lot of people had fun. Our fall family literacy night also well attended. We have an ongoing partnership with Michelin. We are one of 24 partnerships in North America and continue to lead that program in North America, and it continues to be good for our students. They mentor our children in the building, as well as provide tutoring, and they work with our robotics and our jet toy competition students. And we are looking forward to continuing that partnership with them, as well as the partnership we have with Reading Buddies. We have local people that come in and read to our children on a regular basis. And I will let you look at some of those other activities that we've done this year. Next year, as we plan for our Title I budget, we're looking at purchasing additional math manipulatives, additional technology. We are going to be replacing some Chromebooks that will be out of warranty, but we always keep extra for emergencies. We will continue to look at our programming to make sure that what we are using is beneficial and look at any changes we need to make there. We'll continue to fund our assistant principal of instruction as well as 2 primary teachers. We will continue to purchase consumable supplies and materials that our teachers request. In addition to that, we'll also continue to purchase STEM materials and programs. I'd like to give a big shout out to our VEX robotics team. They are leaving Monday morning for Dallas, Texas for a week to compete in the international competition. They were invited, so we're very, very proud of them. And as always, we continue to supply money to have additional and more up-to-date reading materials for our classrooms and our libraries. Do you have any questions for me? Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. We really appreciate all the information you guys shared. And I hope you noticed some things as we went through. Number one is some of the similarities that our elementary principals have in each one of their plans. And some of that's due to the synergy and the relationships that they have. They work better together than any group of principals that I've ever worked with in my career. And they have a lot of conversations around their data, and they have a lot of conversations around their fall and spring teacher, parent, and faculty surveys that are sent out to get input for how these dollars can be spent. And all of those conversations, you can see some similarities between their plans, which is a fantastic thing. But I think you can also see that there are some discrepancies between their plans, because what works at Iva Elementary with the teaching faculty and staff they have and the student population may not be as effective at Star Elementary School. So them having the autonomy to go in those different directions with some of the programs that they use, I think is what make our schools special. And also what I think brings all of our elementary schools in the top 25% of elementary schools in the state of South Carolina. I can say that again. You see a lot of districts, and if you look at district data across the state, you'll see some schools in a program or in a system that are doing really well, and then you'll see some that are not doing so well typically. In Anderson 3, we have all 3 of our elementary schools performing in the top 25% of elementary schools in the state of South Carolina. which is a testament to that synergy and that hard work and that dedication that they're doing. There's no statistical outlier. They're all right there doing together and performing together and giving our students some of the best elementary and early childhood instruction in the state of South Carolina. And I'm very, very proud of that and proud of the work that they do. I would also like to take this opportunity to mention some of the technology that they talked about purchasing. And I mentioned federal programs and all of the requirements that are there to justify the money being spent. And one thing I would like to allude to is inventory. These guys work tirelessly because according to state and federal regulations, any item that's purchased with a value over $100 has to be tagged. And that inventory has to be kept up with. So all of that information is entered into a program that we use called One-to-One. And everything, every Chromebook, every interactive panel, every book kit that's worth $100 or more has to be tagged, that has to be kept up with, that has to be inventoried at the end of every single school year and reconciled. And any items that are removed from inventory or Chromebooks that are out of date or no longer functional, all of that has to be taken off of that inventory. So it is a tremendous amount of work for that administrative staff and usually the media specialists at that school that work with those inventories and keep up with all that inventory in the district. And that's just not found at our elementary school. If federal dollars are spent on any items above $100 in our district, those items have to be tagged and reconciled annually. And I just want to brag on them about that. We just went through our inventory reconciliations, do one in the fall, one in the spring. They're very, very random. 10 items are picked by Cheryl Smith here at the district level. I don't know what those items are, and she hands them to me, and we walk around the school and find them. And our schools always do a tremendous job of knowing where their inventory is and knowing exactly what they have in their schools and how those federal dollars are spent. So my hat's off to them on that. The next funding source that we're going to talk about is Title II. And you can also look at each one of the links on the presentation that was shared with you yesterday. So if you click on the Title II link at the top, Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, Title V, it'll take you to the state's webpage, which will basically give you a description of what those funds are, what those funds do, how they're allocated. But Title II is designed to provide money to districts for two reasons. To help out with class size reduction is the intent, and also to provide professional development for teachers. So you can see 22, we had a slight increase this year, approximately $3,700 increase for our Title II allocation. $100,000 of that is used for salary and fringe for one teacher. That teacher is located at Iva Elementary. Finance tells us which teacher that we need to fund out of that. So Matthew Moore and his team get together and work that out and give us the teacher's name and location that we need to fund out of that. So that works for classroom reduction at one of our elementary schools. And then the other side is district school administrator and teacher professional development, where you can see that we spent $24,275.12. And to quantify what that has done, 36 people over the course of this year have been sent to professional development, which totals over 552 hours of professional development that individuals in Anderson School District 3 have received. And a lot of those trips that we're sending people on are not one teacher developing skills in one area. They're more designed to give a teacher or a group of teachers or support staff a set of skills that they can bring back and implement within the school district. So it's almost like a train the trainer model is what we try to target with our district school administrators and teachers, so that we can get the most bang for our buck with the professional development that we send folks out for. And then finally, we're at the same indirect cost rate that we use for all federal programs. It's at that 4.2%. We don't take the maximum amount that's allowable, but we do take $4,400 in indirect costs. And again, I explain kind of how we use those indirect costs under the Title I tab, but that's basically how we spend our Title II funds in our district. Does anyone have any questions they would like to ask about Title II? Well, good. Then moving on, we'll talk about Title III. Title III and its design, again, you can click on that link and it'll give you detailed information about Title III. Title III is to help our students that come into our district that English may not be their primary language. If we have seen an increase and an influx of students across the board in our district in the last 5 to 10 years, more students that come in where English is not their primary language. And you can see that it's not a big pot of money that they typically fund our district with. So we received $6,575.29 in federal funding to serve those students this year. We could take and try to divvy that money up, but luckily we've been able to work with some other districts around us to combine resources. So some of these students receive a lot of specialized services and receive people that are specifically trained in a certain language or a certain skill set. So we can't afford to provide those resources by ourselves. So we join a consortium. If you see the link down at the bottom, the Anderson 3 Fiscal Year 2023 Title III MOA, that's a memorandum of agreement that we signed with another school district so that we share resources. And Lee Burton works very, very closely with those individuals and with the district that we have that consortium with, and sharing those resources and being able to combine federal funding to be able to get the most bang for our buck and provide the students with the actual resources that they need. So, and you can see how some of the consumables that we use and some of the materials that we use that are all in a 100-400, which is basically instructional supplies, consumables. So in addition to those support resources that we receive, we also have instructional supplies on hand for folks to use whenever we do provide those resources to students. Does anyone have any questions about Title III funds? Very small pot of funds, but a very, very impactful funding source that helps some students that are certainly disadvantaged in what they're trying to do within our school district. So, great. Now we'll go to Title IV. Title IV and Title V, I'm going to try to give you a 5,000-foot view because I'm going to let Dr. Laura Beth Smith, who is the coordinator of all of our STREAM activities in our district, really give you the nuts and bolts of how that program works. But we try to combine Title IV and flex Title IV funds into Title V funds, which is allowable at the state and the federal level for us to be able to vertically integrate those funds to provide STREAM activities. We understand that whenever we talk to business and industry and we get our surveys back from terminal degrees that students receive, both at AIT and at Tri-County Tech primarily, and any post-secondary education, the things that they want to see is students that have those social skills, interpersonal skills, team building skills, problem solving skills. There is no better conduit to develop those skills than through a robust STREAM program. Now, we started off with STEM, then we changed it to STEAM, now we've changed it to STREAM. I don't know how many letters we can find anymore, but I think we're at a great terminal place for that program. And the whole design about that and putting all those letters into one acronym is to understand that science, technology, reading, engineering, arts, math, all those things have to be vertically integrated and tied together for the program to actually work. You can go type in impact of STEM, impact of arts, impact of reading into academic achievement, and there will be thousands of journal articles that will come up that can show you quantitatively and qualitatively how impactful those programs can be on student achievement. We're trying to get it down as early as K4, and we're trying to use vertically integrated terminology to make sure that our students understand what they're doing and how it can tie in to opportunities at the middle school, at the high school, and then post-secondary. So the first thing that we do, 0.265 FTEs at each one of our elementary schools are spent to provide STREAM teachers in 4K through 5th grade. And I know each one of the school presentations alluded to how those STREAM teachers, the impact they have within those schools. So you can also see too how our funding decreased from prior year to this year. So next slide, please. So combining Title IV and Title V and flexing those funds together, you can see they took money away from Title IV, but we had an increase in Title V. And I can say this, with across the board, we have seen a tremendous decrease in federal funding across the board, but you oftentimes see that. They're used different funding methodologies between those two. Title V is based solely on rurality. So the amount of population that's within a district's attendance area is how these dollars are funded. So since we are a rural district, we receive a pretty substantial amount of money in regards to that. The increase that we received is attributed to each state receives their allocation, and other areas as they grow and have more dense populations, the same amount of money is distributed among less districts. So that's where we're at this year. So we've really been encouraged by that increase in Title V. Portion of that Title V is used to pay 0.3 FTE for our stream coordinator, which is Dr. Laura Beth Smith. And then with the increase, we've been allowed to provide stream supplies, K through 12. So at this time, if no one has any questions about the funding sources or the methodology behind how that money is distributed, I'll give a few seconds if anybody has any questions about that. Fantastic. Then I'll turn it over to Dr. Smith, and she can tell you exactly how those funds are being spent and the impact that they're having.
Good morning. Dr. Nixon did steal a little bit of my thunder. I was going to start out and talk about how we have gone from STEM to STEAM to stream and how we have really been able to impact a good bit, many more students and programs. We've always funded materials for K through 12, but now we have added arts. We have added more opportunities for them. We have opened up doors to have them receive AP certification and honors credit, GT certification, that we'll be able to offer different opportunities for our students in that area. So our Title V funds, they fund materials and supplies for K through 12 stream activities, competitions. We have a lot to talk about as far as competitions and the success that we have had this year. Ms. Dodd discussed that we have a group going next week to Dallas, Texas. We've never had a VEX team to go this far. We're very excited about that. We had a First Lego League team that went from Star that went to the South Carolina competition. Lot to talk about with that. Our jet toy, we had our A3 jet toy competition this year. We had some outside industry that came in and they helped provide our lunch that day. So that was a good opportunity for our students to see other groups that can help fund and support them in these competitions. This year, our partnership with AIT and First Quality to provide the VEX robots. They also helped fund the competition. We had a scrimmage back in December. That was to kind of get everyone ready and see what a VEX robots competition even looks like. And then about a month later in January, end of January, we went back on a Saturday and we had a competition at AIT and they provided us lunch again and a space. Having a space big enough that we can house a competition is important too. But we're very thankful for this partnership with AIT and professional development they've been able to provide for our teachers and a space for us to be able to go and learn more. And it's always an opportunity for our students when they go to AIT to see what's available there. We had 4th through 7th graders that attend these competitions, and I'm sure they're looking at the school and thinking, man, I think I'd like to go to attend this school one day. So just giving them more opportunities. Another thing that we did this year was all of our stream teachers, they attended the new science standard PD, professional development, and this was at the Tri-County campus in Anderson. This was a partnership between Anderson, Oconee, and Pickens, Gifted and Talented program. We used state GT funds to help facilitate this PD. We also had our science teachers and from the high school and the middle school that attended this. So this was a good opportunity for us to show vertical and horizontal alignment with our new science standards that we'll be implementing next year and will be tested in the 4th and 6th grade. Field trips. We had a good many opportunities for field trips. Starava attended USC Robotics Day in Columbia. They were very excited about this. It was an eye-opening experience for these students to be able to go to a college campus as large as the University of South Carolina. They ate lunch in the cafeteria and they come back and we're talking about how cool that was of an experience for them. We can't offer that every day, but our students really enjoyed that opportunity. The music programs, they attended performances at the Brooks Center at Clemson University. And today, Flat Rock with Ms. Beckham is attending a performance today. Mr. Spear took a group, and so did Ms. Wendy Caps. They all took a group of their core students or string students, and this was a free program that was offered through the Brooks Center. We just had to provide transportation. Again, you've heard about the string nights. There's one tonight at Ida that I'll be attending. All the schools have taken this and run with it and done their own different thing. It's been very exciting and enlightening to see what's going on at each school. I'd like to take a minute also to talk about the MUSC Wellness Grant in the Gardens. This is a program that we started 2 years ago, and each school participates, and by the end of the year, you have to have 50 points. And at the end of the year, if you receive your 50 points, each school gets $1,000, and the district winner gets $3,000. And with these funds, we've been able to implement walking clubs and provide snacks after school for students that attend these walking clubs. I know some schools have bought some different gardening materials, and they were the winner last year, and they have purchased a greenhouse. It's huge. And at their stream night, they had plants for sale that they had grown in their greenhouse. So that was interesting to incorporate both of those things that night. And then finally, I'd like to talk about our STEAM camp. This is the 6th year for this camp at Crescent High School. I can't believe it's been 6 years in a row, but we've had besides the year 2020, this is it is one of my favorite things to do for a week in the summer. And we have been able to include all aspects of STEAM: science, technology, reading, arts, math. They're embedded into the camp curriculum. We make sure that we get all these. And we added a couple of years ago, we added a PE part to it because we felt like that these kids can learn other things. We do some yoga in the class. We just teach kids to just be well-rounded students. So we always look forward to this. The last day of the camp, we're going on a field trip. We're going to the Anderson County Library. They've invited us. There is a speaker who has written a book. He was a former Clemson University football player. He's written a book, and they've invited us to see this performance. So we're excited about that. A lot has gone on this year with STEAM. I feel like we have really expanded this program, and I'm very excited about all the things that we've done and all the things to look forward to in the future.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Does anybody have any questions specific to Dr. Smith or the fantastic work that her team is doing? All right, great. Guys, I'd like to take an opportunity to provide, these are links to the actual completed plans. These are the plans in PDF form in their entirety. So each one of the programs that we've talked about has to be compiled into a plan that's turned into the State Department and approved at 3 different tiers here at the school level and district level, and then goes to the State Department for approval by 3 other tiers at that level. And that's just checks and balances that are in place for people to look at it from a financial standpoint, as well as a programmatic standpoint, to make sure that those dollars are being spent appropriately and according to federal and state law. So again, I encourage you to click on those links. You can look at the plans and get as much detail as you would like to absorb in Title 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These plans are also posted to our district webpage and available for the public at any time if anyone would like to look at how we're spending those state and federal funds as well. So one of the keys to federal funds and title programs is transparency, and we try to do a good job. In addition to the meetings that we have in the fall and the spring, if you're not aware, each one of the schools has a local leadership team, which does the exact same thing and drills down into their individual plans and how they spend federal dollars as well. So we get teacher input, we get public input, they get input at the school level. That's disseminated up to us. We take public input from these type meetings, and then we also make it accessible to the public for their input as well. So I encourage you, if you have any ideas for us, if you have any suggestions, if you have any concerns, please see something, say something. We want to get better. We want to make sure that our students have the absolute best opportunity they can have within our schools. And I truly do feel that we're providing that with the resources that we have and the people that are actually getting it done in the trenches. So my hat's off to everybody and the work that you do. We didn't become number 5 in the state by chance. We did it through strategic development and improvements and hardworking people, which we're very, very proud of. Last slide, please. So to conclude this meeting, this is my contact information. If I can be of service for anybody, if you have any input, again, any questions, any concerns, please don't hesitate. Call me, email me, come by and see me, drop me a letter. There's every way that's possible to get in touch with me. And if it's not something that I'm directly responsible for, if it's just general information or general concerns or general things that you'd like to share that we could potentially do better as a district, please share those as well. I'll be glad to get it to the appropriate person and make them aware of your concerns or interest. So does anybody have any questions, comments before we close or anything to share with the group? Well, hearing none, this will conclude our spring meeting of the Federal Programs Planning Committee. And again, thank you for your time, thank you for your input, and thank you for your hard work. I hope everybody has a blessed day.